Darwin's theory of evolution emphasized natural selection. Like everything else in the world, the evolutionary theory has evolved. The modern evolutionary theory takes its roots from Darwin's work and has grown through many discoveries, including genes. I'm sure you remember what genes are. From our lessons on genetics, genes are the basic unit of heredity. They form a part of the deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA, and they are passed from parents to offspring. Natural selection, mutation, gene flow, and genetic drift form the modern theory of evolution. We have gone through natural selection, so let's look at the rest one after the other. Mutation is a change in the structure of a gene. This happens randomly and could lead to a change in characteristics. Because the gene is changed, mutations may be inherited. Mutations that can be inherited are germline mutations that occur in germline cells or gametes. Tola's parents and grandparents all have brown eyes, but Tola has green eyes. As far as we know, no one in the generations before her had green eyes. Tola has 2 children and they both inherit her green eyes. This is likely to be a germline mutation. Somatic mutations occur in body cells, and they are not passed on to offspring. Cancers are an example of somatic mutations. Now to gene flow. Tola lives in Lagos, Nigeria, with more than 17.5 million other people. When we take all their genes, it forms what we call the gene pool. The gene pool is the total genetic content of a given species. Tola moves to Nairobi, Kenya, with about 3.1 million other inhabitants, where we assume no one has green eyes. While in Kenya, she gets married to Muri, and they have their 2 lovely kids with green eyes. This transfer of genes from one population of a species to another population of the same species is called gene flow. Obviously, Tola cannot transfer her green eyes to their pet parrot because members of different species cannot interbreed. So gene flow only occurs between members of the same species. Genetic drift is the random variation in gene frequency between generations of a population. It is different from natural selection because the genes that remain do not increase the chances of survival. Tola's green eyes are an example. Remember, Tola and Muri have 2 kids with green eyes, Wamiru and Kamal. They both have capital G, small g genotypes for eye color. We use capital G to denote the dominant gene for green eyes and small g for brown eyes. Wamiru and Kamal marry people with brown eyes and have children. Their 7 children have the following genotypes: capital G, small g, small g, small g, small g, small g, capital G, small g, and the rest small g, small g. We have 2 out of 7 with green eyes. If one of these 2 doesn't have children and the other moves to Lagos, this means that the frequency of the gene for green eyes in Nairobi is less, and this has happened randomly through genetic drift. So we see that in genetic drift, variants of genes can increase or decrease in frequency from generation to generation by random selection. Thanks to Tola and Muri, we now understand mutation, gene flow, and genetic drift as additional concepts that form the modern theory of evolution. Don't forget natural selection.